Good Monday, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Crypto Crow, and it's a good day to start something. And so I'm going to start basically a Bitcoin charting profile for you guys to follow and see. Am I right? Am I always right sometimes? We're going to find out. I'm going to show you guys a big breakdown of the Wykoff, the current system that we're in and concluding, and then where I believe we're heading and how that will play out between now and the Bitcoin halving, likely in April of 2024. And this is going to be wild. And, you know, I'm just going to break it down as we go, and I'm going to show you exactly what's going on. So let's just jump right into it and see what's happening. So here you're looking at Bitcoin on a daily candle, and you're going to see that I've got this out as a line chart for now. And, you know, when I broke this all down, I broke it down obviously with the actual candles. So you're going to see the peaks and valleys and things that'll be a little bit different than the line. But the line chart, just it's a little cleaner and it's a little easier to kind of follow what's happening, especially as I lead into my predictive analysis of where I think we're heading. Some of you guys are not going to like it, but it is what it is. And this is what I see potentially playing out. Now, as we're moving forward in time, okay, you can see my green dotted line. This is predictive. This is what I think may very well be playing out here. Yes, Bitcoin dropping down to under $20,000. Ba-dum-bum. And I don't really think it's the end of the world, though. Quite frankly, I think that's healthy. And I think that when we're looking at this, so we can see this, basically this sign of weakness, okay? So you can see here in the line that we kind of went up here and then just petered out, and it's just starting to move downward again. And when we've been sideways ultimately for so long, and with everything going on with these ETFs, I mean, many are believing that, you know, come October, we're likely going to see some ETF approvals. I mean, I don't know what to expect. I don't know if the SEC is going to try and drag that stuff out as long as possible. But I mean, listen, if they're going to let anybody control the Bitcoin market, in my opinion, it's going to be their good old buddies, BlackRock. All right. So it's just good business for the SEC to let BlackRock kind of take the reins on this, and then, you know, potentially let others follow suit. But, you know, we'll see how that plays out. But because of that, on a macro level and a fundamental level, I see Bitcoin being driven down so that a lot of these new ETFs can load up. And that's just the way it is. And I don't, you know, there's so much stuff that's going to be playing out in the market based off of like fundamentals and what's going on in the world, politically, economically, you name it. And I think that this is, and the reason for this is because when we're looking at what's happening, we're seeing price action, movement, and momentum, all of these things be much more relevant to what's going on in the general economy as adoption continues to grow, demand continues to rise, and more people are looking for a safe haven, a place that they believe they can put their money because the banks aren't doing anything. Everything feels super risky. I mean, the last few years, I don't think I've ever felt more at risk for a multitude of problems than right now. And I know that anybody that actually has a job and is worried about what they're trying to build is worried about this as well. But this is how I see things playing out. So we're going to go ahead and skip ahead here because I'm doing this in a way that you guys can all see it. And if you want, you can duplicate it on your own chart. But that is my predictive analysis of basically the next 6 months. And I'm going to leave it. I'm leaving it right here for you guys to screenshot and tell me how wrong I am in the future. Now, this is ultimately heading out of a distribution phase and into an accumulation phase prior to this green line right here, which is the next Bitcoin halving. Okay. And so, and I've labeled all these to explain exactly what these little signs are. But ultimately, you're going to see potentially. Now, this is, and keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just some idiot, some old guy on the interwebs. This isn't financial advice, so don't trade this. This is just what I think in a big brain fart over 45 minutes as I'm plotting this stuff out, okay? Let's just be realistic about things. Absolutely anything can happen. I'm doing this more for sport, not necessarily because I think this is going to be dead accurate, all right? Just want to make that abundantly clear. I typically shy away from stuff like this because I don't want people trading my ideas. That's why I wait a while before I share stuff. I've set this up. This is the first time I've done this, because typically I would just show everybody this chart and I would be like, okay, here's where we're at and this is what's going on. But instead I'm actually showing you the meat before the potatoes. I'm just basically letting you know now. This is typically stuff I save for myself. All right, so we're looking now at preliminary support. Once we've seen a drop, I mean, this would potentially be somewhere around $21,000 in Bitcoin. Okay, and yeah, whether you like it or not, I see something like this playing out, and that's okay. And by the time we get into October, go figure, we're going to see the selling climax, because this is when the price has been pushed down far enough that these new ETFs are going to be able to jump in if they haven't already and just start accumulating for the launch of their new investment vehicles. And as that concludes, we will get an automatic rally because everybody's in, the horses are off to the race. Who's going to win? What's going to happen? We're going to see some headlines. We're going to see some congratulations. We're going to have a little bit of FOMO leading up into this automatic rally. And then, well, we're going to get another drop because now those ETFs are playing the field and you're dealing with the big boys now. And so we're going to get a secondary test in the market. And everybody's going to learn a lesson, and we're going to say, okay, I thought we were going to the moon, but we're coming back down. The news is old news now. The ETFs are in play. Cool. But that doesn't necessarily mean that much. I'm just going back to bed. And then we get a little bit of a rally, and we're going to get some ebb and flow. And I'm going to show you exactly what this looks like. This is exactly what an accumulation phase 1 looks like. Okay. And this is basically over the term of, 6 months, which is generally a fair standard of play for a phase like this, or a series of phases like this. So then we're going to get, we're going to come up again. We're going to get another rally, and everybody's going to be, to the moon, Alice. We're going, and we're really moving, and I'm going to get rich. And here we go. It's before the halving, and everybody's going to get super pumped. And then a lot of the whales and a lot of the people that actually know what's going on in the market or haven't seen this chart, they're going to start dumping on the heads of everybody that's super excited, buying in, thinking they're about to get rich quick, right? And we're going to get we're basically going to get a decline all the way down here into a secondary test of phase B. Okay, this will drop the price even lower than it has been. We'll probably break under $20,000 at this point. I've got this lined out to around 19,000. And that's not going to be the end of it, because of course we're going to get some more action to the upside. We're going to get a lot of ebb and flow in the market as we ladder up into a midway point, and maybe we get back up to around 23.3, somewhere thereabouts, and then we're going to get another crash down. You know how this works, folks. Bitcoin's volatile, it's dangerous, it's scary, and people that are buying in up here, when they see this crash, a lot of these people are going to panic sell, right? Because that's what this is all about. That's ultimately what these accumulation patterns are about. It's taking the crypto from the weak-handed people that don't know what they're doing. They invest more than they can afford to lose. They freak out at the sight of any dip, while the rest of us are ultimately accumulating through this phase, because that's why they call it an accumulation phase. Those with the experience and the knowledge of the cycles and what's going on in the market are going to accumulate out of the hands of those that simply do not have a clue yet. But they're going to learn. And ultimately, that lesson is going to bring us all the way down to a new, not necessarily a new low. I think the low of Bitcoin is already established. I don't think we're going to break that, but we are going to get a new low for this pattern, and that's going to set off the spring. And we'll probably spring into action somewhere around 18.5, 18.2, somewhere thereabouts. And then we'll come back up. And we'll change course yet again. We'll get a new test under the support. So these support lines down here, we're going to test off of that support, get a boomerang effect, come back down, test off of this next line of support until we get a another big dramatic candle to the upside or series of candles. This is on a daily chart. And then we're going to get our last point of support before we really start to take off. And when we get to this point, this is where you're going to know if all of this stuff ends up lining up properly and the time frames and everything match a little bit and everything looks pretty good. This is probably going to be one of the best points in the market to buy before we rise up into a sign of strength. We get a little bit of a mini accumulation pattern before we break out into the Bitcoin halving. And that, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, is all she wrote. And so from there, you know, we're going to go into a lot of just a lot of really good price momentum as we head into the next bull cycle, the next parabolic run up. And quite frankly, I think this one's going to be magnanimous. I think this next bull run is going to be something to behold. And I honestly think it may make 2017 look dwarfed. And in 2017 into 2018, I think that was one of the 2016 to 2018. That was one of the most prominent. I mean, that's when I got into crypto. And I think I think we're going to see something similar to that, but potentially on steroids. Maybe we finally see our $250,000 Bitcoin at the peak of this cycle. Maybe we don't. Maybe we see a $8 to $10 Cardano at the peak of this cycle. Maybe Cardano finally flips Ethereum. You know, a lot of people are talking about on-chain metrics and how it's looking like we're growing. We're heavily growing in steam on the Cardano blockchain as it relates to what's happening on Ethereum. Ethereum's a first to market second generation blockchain. It's going to have some steam and some power for quite some time. But I think we're going to see some dramatic changes in the course of things. And I think that this bull cycle is going to be pivotal and ultimately the future. And honestly, I think that what's going to be the catalyst is that once all of these big, like BlackRock, a lot of these folks have their investment vehicles in place, their Bitcoin ETFs are in, I think that's when we're going to start seeing a lot more about a narrative associated with tokenized securities, tokenized real estate investments, tokenized everything. And one of these groups is going to launch some sort of exchange. I'm not even convinced it's going to be Coinbase. It would not surprise me one bit if whether it's JP Morgan or one of these big institutional groups with their hands in the cookie jar, like kind of the good old boy relationships that we know are pretty prominent throughout the finance sector. I think ultimately one of these groups is going to launch an exchange that may very well be closed off to the public, and it will be an internal exchange for trading tokenized securities and real estate and things like that. And you're going to have to be a part of the good old boys club to get in, whether that means accredited investor proven through a system, or you're going to have some sort of special license to be able to trade on these platforms. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't think a lot of these are going to be open to the public. And this is literally just a guess. I don't know 100%. I have no idea. This whole video is basically me predicting the future. Take a screenshot, take a snap grab, do whatever you're going to do, save it, and we'll find out. Am I always right sometimes or not? Until next time, guys, enjoy your week. I will see you again very, very soon. Make sure you check out my wife and I's new channel that's coming. I'd love to see 1,000 subs on there. We've already got some guests lined up. I mean, it's actually going to be a really interesting show. You're going to see all kinds of people. I mean, we're going to have every walk of life you can imagine we're going to have on the show. We're going to talk to them, get their story, get their perspective on all things going on. And I think it's going to be a really good time, and it's going to be fair and balanced. Maybe. We'll see. Until next time, guys, crow your coins. Thanks for joining me. Happy Monday.